it's very important that people also have the freedom to have access to their money in a way that they feel secure, that they feel comfortable in the way they use their payments. And the world provides infrastructure for financial transactions, but sometimes not everybody has the opportunity to be a part of that global system.
Welcome to the first episode of Remote Advantage. In this podcast, we're going to explore the future of work, money, opportunities, and especially opportunities in remote workspace, especially in Latin America. I'm Roberto Striedinger. It's a pleasure. Today, we're starting with a powerful theme, the new American dream, living in LatAm America and getting paid in USD, in dollars. I think for decades, the American dream meant moving to North, especially to North America or other countries, leaving behind family, culture, and community in search for better opportunities. But today, something new and very interesting is happening. Thanks to remote work and new financial infrastructure, millions of people, especially in Latin America, can now build a global career without staying close to their homes and being part of their culture and their own economic. And no one is closer to this transformation than our guest today, Marcelino Bellosta. Marcelino, how are you?
Hi, good morning, Roberto. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. He's the leading vision for the entire new financial ecosystems that we're launching here in MIDI. Then one that allows the U.S. companies to pay their LatAm contractors in dollars very quickly, transparently, and without any kind of friction. In this episode, we're going to talk about MIDI, how MIDI was born, the challenges and opportunities of paying remote teams in Latin America, and why Marcelino believes that the new American dreams no longer requires crossing borders or living in the North in the United States. So let's dive in. Marcelino, to kick things off, let me ask you the first question. How would you define this idea of the new American dream, and why do you think it's happening right now in Latin America?
This new dream is related to the freedom of everybody to choose where they want to live, how they want to work, where to work from. So it's very important that people also have the freedom to have access to their money in a way that they feel secure, that they feel comfortable in the way they use their payments. And the world provides infrastructure for financial transactions, but sometimes not everybody has the opportunity to be a part of that global system. So what we're trying to do is to provide that missing step for many people, and to be part of this dream of having economic and the freedom to be anywhere they want without limitations to their financial access.
That's beautiful, Marcelino. Thank you so much. I think Banco San Juan has faced some significant challenging, especially from the debanking in recent years. How that situation influenced the decision of launching MIDI or bringing something to the market similar to MIDI?
Well, for us, we've been on a roller coaster ride over a few years. And what that has taught us is that access to financial markets and financial systems is difficult at any scale, and for organizations as well as for individuals. So we felt that providing access to other organizations and to people, individuals in particular, is critical, is something that we are very, very committed to as part of our DNA. Access to finance, access to financing for different kind of projects. And we believe that providing this infrastructure is something that relates to us very much, in not having access, being debanked or without access to banking. Most of the population in the world does not have access to safe banking infrastructure.
Absolutely.
This is critical. We see this as our contribution, not only in terms of it being a business, of course, but our contribution to the many millions of people who would like to have access and would like to get paid in US dollars, and they do not have a platform to be able to get paid.
That's beautiful. And at what point did you realize that what it looked at the time like a very big banking challenge could become a very amazing opportunity to support the new LatAm workforce that is building or is working right now in LatAm remotely?
Well, we've been looking at LatAm for many years in terms of different kind of products, different kind of opportunities. Credit cards and things like that are, of course, something we might all have exposure to and feel comfortable with using. But having an account where we live, not necessarily that being somewhere in the U.S. or maybe Europe that provides a very stable, very safe economic infrastructure, protected from devaluation, protected from instability in certain political circles and countries.
Yes.
This came to us as a solution, something that was needed, and I think there's many players trying to get into this space, and we are very focused on remote workers and people who are earning a living. They're earning their income from sources that are in the U.S., maybe Europe, but then they do not have the access to the accounts and the infrastructure to be safe and comfortable in the way they store and use their money.
Absolutely. What other major challenges have you seen in the last, I don't know, 5 years of how the U.S. companies are hiring in Latin America?
Well, in reality, I don't think U.S. companies are having a challenge other than making sure they can get payments in an efficient way
Mm-hmm.
to their workers. I mean, workers are there. People are actually migrating from different parts of the world and seeking to be in LatAm because of the time zone
Uh-huh.
and the convenience. Not only that, just the connection with the Latin American market of U.S. companies, and that has been very positive. But on the backs on the bad side is it is very difficult to pay workers. Perhaps very large corporations can establish systems and controls, and it's efficient for large corporations. But for the day-to-day small to medium-sized business, it's a very difficult environment in which they operate in terms of being able to get small transactions to people all over the place. So there is this gap, this difficulty in providing payments, and there are many payment platforms, but not everybody has access to them because of the country where they are domiciled or where they're from.
Absolutely. I mean, remote workers, it's not something new, but why do you believe Latin America has become like one of the most attractive hubs for global remote talent right now? In the past, people were hiring in India, Southern Asia, but now everything is become focused or centralized in Latin America. Why do you think it's the reason of behind this boom?
Yes, well, I certainly agree with you. I think India was certainly the hot spot for a very long time. I guess language is a critical factor. The fact that English is a de facto or standard language for many in India brings that as an opportunity. But then you have a whole new let's say a section of people around the world
Hmm.
that are very happy to work and they can speak English perfectly. They're very well trained in their different circles in the language that they will be working in dollars in the U.S. and collecting payments in dollars. But Latin America offers a mix of a lot of factors. One is quality of life, cost of living,
Yeah.
convenience in terms of moving, infrastructure, and political stability has helped tremendously to provide ease for people who are around the world looking for where to settle and where to be based as remote workers. And the time zone. I mean, 1 or 2 hour difference with anywhere in the U.S. is
It's a huge
certainly a
difference.
convenience
Yeah.
and is extremely practical. In India, people are working at night, and of course, that has a toll on people's quality of life.
Absolutely. Circling to something you mentioned earlier, which was very interesting, that one of the main or the biggest pains right now for remote hires in Latin America was the payroll or the payment process, right? What are the biggest issue with traditional cross-border payments today that you have been able to identify from the companies, especially?
Well, certainly when a company initiates payments, one thing is to pay a vendor in Colombia or Peru or Ecuador, where there's all kinds of channels and FX transfer structures that are well implemented and they work very well. And another thing is to pay 20 or 30 individuals, which the
Mhm.
banks that are making the payments have a compliance department that's going to ask questions. Who are these people? Provide contracts, provide invoicing for the services that are being rendered. Are they employees? Are they contractors? There's many questions. There's many requirements. And at the end of the day, there isn't a real problem that they could probably perform these transactions on the one side. But on the other side, it's very time consuming for the companies that are making these payments. These have to be processed individually most of the time. There's questions specific to each one that might come from compliance departments. And secondly, there's a cost. I mean, regular day-to-day payments for habitual contract workers or payroll are not managed in the same way as a company invoice, which would be a big ticket item, and therefore a certain amount, $50, $100 for international transaction, which might be a standard fee for companies, is certainly out of proportion, and the percentage or the cost for companies to make these payments is very high on a percentage basis. Not only is it time consuming and man hours to be implemented by the companies to perform these transactions, but also the cost itself for the transactions.
Absolutely. Why do you think this payment gaps or these payment pains has persisted for so long?
Well, there's different reasons. I guess we could venture into certain possibilities. Coming from the financial world, I am certain compliance is a big issue. Why companies would pay individuals is perfectly documented, is perfectly reasonable, but it is not a standard. This is something that has been uh, growing tremendously, and it's very recent. So for banks and especially bigger banks, it's more complicated to understand, and for the compliance departments, it becomes a concern. This may evolve eventually into something more standard and more common, but for now, it's been complicated. It's not a standard, and that generates a problem. So I would try to focus on compliance being a problem, and the second thing is small ticket transactions are not uh, are not the bank's uh,
Top priority? Yeah.
top priority, and it's not the ideal way to do it. I mean, transferring $1 million and transferring $1,000 generally has the same operational cost for a bank.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thank you, Marcelino. Can you walk us through how MIDI works and why it's different to other cross-border payment solutions in the market right now?
Well, we have focused very much on solving the problem for companies and for the contract workers or the remote workers and other types of people that are earning their income from U.S. sources. The idea is for the person to be able to have an account that receives money, and that they have ways of using the money. Let it be a transfer, let it be a ATM transaction, but more importantly, having access to a debit card that they can use anywhere.
Mm,
That there's a POS terminal to make payments. So that solves the user side of it, and their money is stored. They'll have access to different services. But I think more importantly, we solve the problem for companies. Companies will only need to perform one transaction, and we will manage everything on the back end in terms of distributing those funds to all the people that they have in their contract agreements, and the payments are received instantaneously. So companies have one company or one vendor of this financial transaction solution. It'd be in a way similar to how payroll companies work in the U.S., in which the company pays one amount, one lump sum, and then the company will resolve the rest of the transactions that are involved, including payments to the different parties that are related to payroll.
okay, so what MIDI is trying to do is to give the same kind of experience like a payroll, but for remote workers, especially in Latin America, to have the same kind of experience, the same kind of features, and the same kind of economic value that like a normal North American or U.S. citizen worker, pretty much.
Yes, I mean workers. Any worker in their own country will have a way of getting paid, and for companies, it's very easy. It's standardized. A payroll anywhere in the world is, well, I can't speak for every country in the world, but most countries, it's very
Hmm.
simple. It's standardized. It's streamlined, and it's part of every financial system. When we start going cross border, it starts getting tricky on the sending and on the receiving end.
Yeah,
So the company will have complexities that they will have to surmount, and the person who receives the money as well. There's many kind of options in the market today that can be small ticket items, one by one transactions, and then there might be other distributed forms of transfers, but they require a deep involvement of the company to set this up. So there are I would say hybrid solutions, and we want to provide an integral solution. One lump payment by the company, and one access solution for the user to the financial system wherever they may be.
that's beautiful, Marcelino. How do you think, from the user point of view, how does their life going to change for a contractor in Mexico, Colombia, and Argentina with this new type of solution that you're talking about?
Well, if I were to be working out of my apartment in Medellin, uh, and I work for a company based anywhere in the US or somewhere else in the world, I will receive my monthly payment on time. It won't take days. There won't be complexities in terms of having to call the bank, having to call the sending bank, the receiving bank, the FX company. I will simply see a balance on my US account, and it will show up the day it's supposed to show up. Bank won't have any questions for me because it's a prearranged compliance approved transaction, and I will have access to my money to use to make payments anywhere in my neighborhood. I mean, I don't think there's too many places in the world where POS terminals, contactless terminals, are in existence, and in the very short term, we will be activating Apple Pay. Just waiting on a couple of the technological hurdles. Uh, but using Apple Pay or your card, you'll have access to your money very quickly in terms of no obstacle, no questions, no surprise withholdings, no troubleshooting. Why did I get 99 instead of 100 or 98 instead of 101? I mean, it's very streamlined, very simple, and just takes away the mystery and the complexity.
Absolutely. I think this kind of new the liquidity that we are providing them, it's going to change some lives and improve their experience by far what they're receiving today.
Well, hassle free. Our hope is that everybody forgets those times when it was a headache. The company said it was sent on the 25th, and it's the second of the month, and money's not there, and I can't get in touch with the bank. The receiving bank says they haven't received it. The sending bank says they sent it. I mean, I think anybody who has been paid internationally on an individual level knows
Understand these
that
kind of
this is a
pains.
reality. I
Yeah,
mean, it's very, very gray area in terms of how it works and how ideal it is to get paid, and the recurrence of that stability in the quality levels of the actual transactions.
absolutely. Why is it so important to build MIDI in partnership with a bank, especially Banco San Juan International right now, instead of being like a standalone fintech like many others in the market?
Well, certainly we would probably evolve into a banking platform, but we think that every company has to be specialized and focus on what they're doing, so we can come to market quicker and in a safer manner. We have relied on a banking partner, so Banco San Juan will be providing all the accounts and all the infrastructure that is already regulated and connected to the financial system. We have a direct relationship with Banco San Juan in terms of shareholding, so that also helps. But we believe that these are two separate institutions, and MIDI will eventually evolve into having financial licenses in many different places, and certainly we hope that that will happen in the short term.
Okay. You said something very interesting before. You said that MIDI is more than just payments. It's about building a new ecosystem, especially in this concept that we're discussing about the new American dream. What do you mean by that? Like this new ecosystem, how MIDI is gonna work of building the new one?
Well, I think it's all based on freedom and access.
Yeah.
The freedom to be anywhere we want, and access to the different financial products and the system in general. And that might start with having an account, having a card to make payments. A Visa card is accepted everywhere. So that of course is the access component and part of the freedom. But there's also many elements that we haven't discussed. Access to investment. Let it be in crypto assets, if that is the person's preference, or traditional markets, shares, funds, bonds, everything related to securities markets is another big obstacle. How to access the financial market is something that maybe Robinhood solved for the U.S. in terms of smaller investors, but this does not exist internationally. It's not standardized, and it's a very uh, sought after product. I would assume everybody wants to protect their future and have investments into the future. So that is another service. That is access. That is simply access to financial systems. Different kinds of insurance products is also important. And like that, we can go on and on different opportunities that can be found in different more developed countries. But a remote worker might have difficulty accessing it in terms of the broader offerings worldwide. Health insurance locally in any country, of course, is accessible and is probable, but perhaps somebody would like to have access to international insurance. How
Hmm.
would they go about this? These are things that we are thinking that can come online and can be part of our product offering pipeline.
Absolutely. How do you think this new payment ecosystem is going to create ripples and effects, especially in the local economies across the different countries in Latin America?
Roberto, I think this is going to be very important. As soon as people are more comfortable with the way they receive funding, they will be more inclined to spend locally. It's not going to be a matter of this is where I have my nest egg and this is what I use on a daily basis. It'll be I have access to everything on a daily basis because Meaty provides it, and it will automatically allow customers of Meaty and end users to spend locally as if they were using a local bank account. I mean, Visa is accepted pretty much everywhere, and if not, there's always a cash machine and even a transfer to the local bank account for certain transactions. I don't know, paying utility bills, paying something local. So we want to provide this access for users, and the simplicity of the solution should become a hassle-free way to interact with the local economic system, and for people to be able to spend more freely in a community will naturally bring up the community and provide uh, improvements to the local economy.
Amazing. How do you, thinking about looking ahead a little bit, or maybe 5, 10 years in the future, how do you see this new workforce of remote workers in Latin America is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think it's simply going to expand. I mean, as soon as you have the freedom of movement, you can live wherever it is you like, or whatever climate or whatever group. And depending on the stage that you might be in life, maybe you're on the younger side and have the flexibility to move around. Maybe you want to have your kids live in a specific country or specific area because of language, because of education, just the environment they're in. You want to get away from the city. I mean, all this will become more standardized and mainstream. It's as the infrastructure grows for anything, let it be roads, electricity, internet access. But in general, as an infrastructure for this kind of work and population on the move, these nomads can have access to the infrastructure, then of course it becomes something simple. It's not something that requires guesswork, which is like any product or anything in the market. There's a cycle. I mean, there's the pioneers that'll start off and well, I simply want to move over here and I'll use internet connection. I'll figure it out, and I'll figure out if I have to go to the city to get paid because it's the only way to get paid. And then there's people who will move when everything's set up, and that, of course, will comprise the largest group of people. And I think we're getting there, and hopefully we'll be part of that infrastructure.
That's amazing, Marcelino. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think we're building tools and a whole ecosystem to make this new American dream a reality, especially for this new group of remote workers that is becoming bigger and bigger over time, especially in the next few years. So thank you again for joining me. I think we're going to be, for the next episodes, we're going to share how companies and special cases from remote workers are already transforming their lives thanks of using MIDI and executing and fixing all the different pains that we talked in this episode. So thank you again for your time and these amazing insights that you just shared with us.
Thank you, Roberto.